Amber Heard, Johnny Depp's new girlfriend. Amber Heard, remember her? Of course you do. Her dog stepped on a bee, and she cracked off a turd in the bed of Johnny. Yes, earlier this year, millions were gripped by the courtroom spectacle as the two sued one another, with the outcome being a resounding success for Johnny Depp, both in court and the court of public opinion. Of course, ruminations followed thereafter as a consequence of people having a regard for the way that Amber Heard continued to protest her innocence and that she had been abused by Johnny Depp, and also the way that certain individuals were targeted for speaking out against her. Typical of the individuals such as Heard as a narcissist who exhibits her hypocrisy by talking about the way that she's apparently a victim of abuse and then goes on to cause the abuse of others as part of her protestation of innocence. Nevertheless, what news do we have? Well, it would appear that Johnny Depp has a new relationship. Yes, it's been reported that he has been seeing, and for some time, one of his lawyers, not those that represented him in the court case against Amber Heard, but a lawyer that had been involved in respect of a previous defamation case that he had brought. And it isn't Camila Vasquez, as many people would hope, but a different lady altogether. Indeed, that he has been having a relationship with Joel Rich, the lawyer who represented him in his 2018 libel lawsuit against UK tabloid The Sun. So Mr. Depp, unsurprisingly, has moved on and is enjoying his relationship with this individual. But what does Amber Heard think about this? Naturally, she will receive news about what Mr. Depp is up to. Her friends will tell her if she's not intermittently punching his name into Google to find what it has to tell her. This doesn't mean that she will stalk him obsessively. Many narcissists don't behave that way because once that individual is off the radar, they're focused on other matters. But, of course, given the prominence that Mr. Depp has, it doesn't take long before news about him will come across her desk, so to speak. It's been reported in an article that states how Amber Heard reportedly feels about Johnny Depp's new relationship, that her observations are as follows. After 3 months removed from the contentious Depp versus Heard defamation trial, the dust has somewhat settled. Minus a polarizing cameo from Johnny Depp at the 2022 MTV Video Music Awards in August, both parties have laid relatively low, until now. A new update about Depp's love life has sent fans back into a frenzy, reigniting talk about the former couple all over again. On September 22nd, US Weekly reported Depp is in a relationship with Joel Rich, the lawyer who represented him in his 2018 libel lawsuit against United Kingdom tabloid The Sun. An insider told the outlet that their chemistry is off the charts. It's serious between them. They are the real deal. Rich previously attended Depp and Heard's 2022 Virginia trial, acting as emotional support for the former. The source continued, there was no professional obligation for her being there. It was personal. The news has surprised some fans who speculated Depp was in a relationship with a different lawyer, Camila Vasquez, who represented him more recently. Vasquez has spoken out against the rumours, telling people in June, it's unfortunate and it's disappointing, but at the same time it kind of comes with the territory. I can't say I was all that surprised. Now that the cat is out of the bag, some might be curious to know what Amber Heard thinks of her ex-husband's latest flame. When it comes to Johnny Depp's new romance with former lawyer Joel Rich, Amber Heard reportedly isn't bothered. A source mentioned Amber isn't paying attention to Johnny or his personal life. She doesn't care who he dates and just wants to move forward with her life. Now, of course, when Johnny Depp is mentioned to her, he comes upon her radar. Her subconscious narcissism, because she's an unaware narcissist, see various parts passing where I explained why that's the case, caused her to then respond in this way. She needs to assert control over Johnny. He isn't under control. Accordingly, she could approach him directly, but her narcissism will not take her in that route. It would regard the risk as too great. Why? Basically, because of what's gone on in the past, it's still fairly raw, and secondly, because he's with somebody else, that means that she's likely to be rejected. And because her narcissism acts as a self-defense mechanism, it's not going to propel her by causing her to feel in a particular way or think in a particular way to directly assert control by Hoover, by ringing him up, by sending him a text message or calling around and saying, "Look, I bring freshly baked bagels. Would you like one?" Instead, it has to cause her to assert control indirectly by basically saying, through a mouthpiece, "Oh, I'm not paying attention to Johnny. I don't care what he's up to. I'm not interested in who he dates. I just want to move forward with my life." The person that she speaks to agrees and says, "Yes, that's the way to deal with this situation. Focus on yourself and having photo opportunities in thrift stores. That's much better. Maybe Elon Musk will be open to some overtures again. Why not give him a call?" Given how intense people's feelings are about the former couple, the article continues, on both sides, no comment is probably the best comment. Since the conclusion of Depp and Heard's trial, she's only publicly acknowledged her ex-husband once in a statement on Instagram following the verdict. The Justice League actor previously wrote, "I'm heartbroken that the mountain of evidence still was not enough to stand up to the disproportionate power, influence and sway of my ex-husband. Pity play." Post-trial, Heard has 2 upcoming films, period drama In the Fire and DCEU movie Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, where she'll reprise her role as Mira in a reduced capacity despite a petition calling for her removal. Meanwhile, Depp is still performing with Jeff Beck and shooting La Favorite, which is due on Netflix in 2023. With distance from each other and the trial, both of them seem to be getting back to work and leaving the drama for the big screen. Well, of course, that's what somebody would write who doesn't understand narcissism. And of course, Amber Heard, when he is brought up, will essentially dismiss him, either indirectly dismissing him as saying, "Oh, she's not interested, I'm not interested in him," or, in certain instances, causing her to jettison thoughts about him by saying, "Oh, I'm beyond him, I don't want anything to do with him." But understand this. The fact that Johnny Depp is with somebody else wounds her. She cannot stand the contentment that might be exhibited as a consequence of this new relationship. Why? We are envious of your contentment. We hate it. We don't have the capacity for contentment. We always have to be searching, hunting down the fuel, asserting control, drawing the character traits, and, of course, those residual benefits. To those of us that are aware, whilst we don't experience this contentment, it's not such a problem because we're so effective at gaining the prime aims, it doesn't unsettle us. But for our unaware brethren, although they don't know what it is they're seeking, the fact that they can't get that contentment, and when they are confronted with somebody else who is content, sends them into something of a tiz. It wounds. It reminds them of subconsciously of their weakness, their vulnerability, their inability to deal with this situation. Whilst her narcissism compels her to say, "Oh, I'm not paying attention to Johnny or his personal life, and I don't care who he dates, I just want to move forward with my life," that is her narcissism asserting control over him directly. But believe me, the fact that he's with somebody else, she hates it. The fact that she's with somebody else means that she sees he has a degree of contentment, something that she's denied, and her narcissism does not like it. In private, she'll be spitting and a-cursing, shrieking and a-moaning about this fact, lashing out, no doubt some poor coach, remember, bearing the brunt of her rage at learning of this. And all of the injustices that she perceives were visited upon her will be resurrected by the fact that he appears to have got on with his life and is behaving in a scot-free manner. Instead, she will feel how unjust this has, unfair it is, that he, the abuser, is able to get on with his life while she faces significant legal bills and, of course, the judgment hovering over her. Although she acts as if she doesn't care, believe me, her narcissism hates the situation, and I would invite you to watch my video, Envious of Your Contentment, to understand more about what the narcissist experiences when they see their ex moving on with somebody else. Again, you're able to have this under-the-bonnet understanding as a consequence of my insight provided to you, about the way that a narcissist responds to seeing the ex with somebody else. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.